You play 2 games a week all season long.
Yeah.
Now you're hoping to play 3 games in 5 days. What does that do to your preparation, your routine, your sleep, your practice, your meetings?
Well, everything has changed because even last week was the first time, I think, in 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it's been, that we didn't have 2 games in a weekend. We just had to play once versus Tulsa. And I think anybody who has to go through it will tell you those 2 games a week are a grind. They are absolutely, I mean, those Sunday games are just, you know, slugfests. I mean, it's tough. And so it was good for us to get some rest. And so what we did is we gave the kids rest on Saturday, brought them back for just a light training last night. And then we'll train today before we leave and train tomorrow. And then I think, you know, when you play on Friday and Sunday, you develop a routine. Play on Friday, regen the next day, play on Sunday, rest on Monday, so on and so on. And I think what we're just going to have to do is extend that. So it'll be play on Wednesday, regen on Thursday, play on Friday, regen on Saturday, play on Sunday. And you hope that at some point adrenaline kicks in. You know, you hope at some point adrenaline kicks in. But I also think you have to try to use more of the roster when you can. There's some players who you know, or at least you hope, will get through all 3 games and can just play matches. And then there's other players who you know, man, they're going to need a break here or a break there. I think the other thing that we do is we start looking at this a month ago. And so anytime we could steal 2 days off for the players, we gave them 2 days off. That way they could start resting. And then we started making Wednesday a very, very heavy training day for us to get their bodies used to. Wednesday is hard. Thursday's a little bit easier. Friday is hard. Saturday's a little bit easier. Sunday is hard. And so we started prepping for it about a month ago.
The preparation won't be too different because, you know, every Saturday we do about the same thing, and I'm expecting that we'll do the same thing come Thursday and Saturday again. So, I mean, it'll just be, you know, the same preparation, just with one extra rotation in there.
At the beginning of the season, you sat here and you identified Memphis and UCF as the probable heavyweights in this conference. You end up tying Memphis. You're the only team they didn't beat all year. You beat UCF, and you go into this tournament seeded 3rd. Is that where you should be seated? And where's the confidence of this team going into the tournament?
I think confidence is high. I think the confidence is high, but I think the security level of the team is high. You know, we didn't sneak into anything. You know, we have basically, we played 6 of the 11 games on the road this year. We were able to beat UCF at home. And I think UCF is a good team. I always think they're a good team. The way they play is good. I remember saying before the game that I thought it'd be a hard game. Went on the road against Memphis and got a result there, which was, you know, obviously a good result. And then the most impressive thing of that weekend, we won on the Sunday. You know, so after you go, that's a difficult trip because Memphis and UAB are 3 hours apart or so on a bus, and you bus between those two. And so you go through the emotional toll of going up 2 goals, going down a goal, tying with 1.5 minutes left, and then playing 2 overtimes. And then to be able to hold it together and win on the Sunday, I thought was really big. And so, you know, I guess you are what your record says you are. And so I think 3rd is fair. You know, I felt like Memphis was the best team. I felt like Memphis was the best team that we played against in the league. And then there was a group of us who were really close together. And then just below that group was another group. But anybody along that line could get you on any day. I mean, we saw that. ECU got us. You know, it's just it's a difficult league. So we're happy with where we're at. We're excited to go play the event. But really, none of that matters when the whistle blows. It's just you have to perform on the day.
We have a lot of confidence going into the tournament because we know that we can compete with and beat every team in the conference. So as long as we play our game, then we'll be able to win.
It helps us out a ton. It's different when you believe in something, when you have hope to win, but then when you have something tangible to hold on to, like we did, like beating UCF when they were ranked, and Memphis when they haven't lost to anybody. We're the only team to not lose to them. And, you know, we were ahead in that game, so we have the confidence. We were up 2-0 in that game. It makes everything a lot more real for us. It's not, you know, a dream in the distance. You know, we've done it in real life now, so we really like our chances going forward. And having Memphis and UCF in the semifinal matchup, you know, if they both win their quarterfinal game, really opens up the field for us to make it to the final.
You go into this tournament, you open up in the first round with Rice, which came into Westcott Field and snuck away with a 1-0 win in late September. How much does revenge factor into your preparation and approach to this game?
I think for the first 2 minutes, it factors in. You know, in the same way that I bet it factored into them because we knocked them out of the tournament last year. I imagine it factored into them when for the first 2 minutes of our game here. I tend to believe that a lot of that stuff wears off as the game gets going. You know, I think a lot of that gets played up before the game, not necessarily within the team, just a little bit. And then once the game starts, it's 11 versus 11 on the same size field. You know, I think it becomes a game. You know, a lot of we talk a lot about, I think Mike Tyson, the smartest thing he ever said was everybody has a fight plan until you get punched in the face. You know, everybody has a game plan until that first punch hits you right in the face. I think that too sometimes. I think that everybody has a very clear plan and they have all these grandiose ideas of this is what we're going to do, it's revenge and all that. And then you go out there and you're like, okay, now we're in a game, and you just click right over into, okay, this is what I do all the time. This is how I play. This is what a game is like, all of that. And so we want to win. I don't know that we want to win just because we want to beat Rice. I think we want to win because we want to advance.
Every game in Conference USA is a rivalry game. It's not any one team, but the fact that last year they beat us in overtime in the regular season, and then we beat them in PKs in the conference tournament, and then this year they scored in like the last 5 minutes of regular time. It's been a close matchup, and you know, it's just one of those games where you got to grind it out. It's like that with every team in the conference. We definitely want to. Rice is one of those games that when the game ended, we wish we could have it back, and this is our chance to have it back to get a good result. And then ultimately, this is the one that matters because this is the one that will put us in the semifinal and send them home.
Well, I think Rice is always a huge game. They're a big rivalry with conference and stuff like that. So I do think revenge is a huge aspect going into the game.
I'm definitely excited that we got Rice the first round, and you know, we should have beat them when they came here earlier, and you know, I think we're all excited that we have them again, and I know that we're going to beat them this time around.
Rice is always a big rival, and I think that every person on our team looks back at the Rice game that they would have wanted to change something about their personal performance. So losing to them is just a bigger fuel. Losing to them early in the season is just a bigger fuel to play better against them in the first round. I'm so glad that we're playing Rice in the first round.